Write on first ecosystem. Ecosystem. So what is an ecosystem? It is the, write down, it is the structural and functional unit of biosphere. It is a stable, write down, it is a stable ecological unit where regular input of energy and circulation of matter takes place. So ecosystem, what is an ecosystem? It is the structure where energy will be the, okay, energy from where it will get, the energy is from the solar, it is the solar energy from which the whole ecosystem works, right? Directly or indirectly, it is the solar energy from which the ecosystem works. Okay, so there will be the circulation of the matter takes place. That is, if you have like, for example, rabbit is there, so rabbit will be that animal will be human. So where the matter will be transferred from one to the other. So that is the ecosystem. In the ecosystem, we have the two types. Ecosystem, we have the two types. Hello. Okay. No, okay. So two types of ecosystem what we study, natural ecosystem and the artificial ecosystem. So natural ecosystem means it is in the nature itself there, and there is no requirement of the human intervention. So in natural ecosystem, there are two types of ecosystem. One is the artificial ecosystem. So what is the natural ecosystem? It is the one where it is in the nature itself, and that is the energy, the circulation of the energy, everything is in the nature itself. There is no requirement of intervention in the ecosystem. There is the artificial ecosystem. It is the man-made ecosystem where the since it is made by the man, so just circulation of energy, and we have to take care of it. The example of the natural ecosystem, forest is a river is a all these different ecosystems. So in the forest, water is the rain is there because that's made. And the leaves shed. Okay, so that will be the manure. So it circulates. That is a natural ecosystem. Whereas the artificial ecosystem, what is that? That is artificial ecosystem. Right? So that has to be maintained. So what are the examples of natural ecosystem? What happened to scopes here? Which one?
I told you no.
From the evidence that be careful. Or you want to sit another one? No. Sit and you are sitting there. Even go. You get it. No. Even if you have to leave. Banana. Then you would have asked me banana later. This. So natural ecosystem, what are the examples of natural ecosystem? Forest. Example of forest. Any other example for natural ecosystem? Sunlight is not an ecosystem. It is an example of artificial ecosystem, made by man. Then river, ocean, ponds. Yeah, write down this fast. Two types of ecosystem. Natural ecosystem. Raga, you want to sit? You can sit. The natural, write down few statements. Naturally existing ecosystem without any human so it is called natural ecosystem. So example, desert, forest, river, lakes, anything you can write. Write down first. Next, artificial artificial ecosystem. It is a man-made ecosystem which has to be maintained by the man itself. Okay. So one of the example, what you can say, aquarium. Also one of the example. So where the oxygen has to be pumped. Otherwise, the fishes cannot live inside that, right? What are the natural ecosystems? The naturally existing ecosystem. Where it is not. The forest is one, river, lakes, ocean, desert. So many examples. Where the all the in the forest, all the trees that it leaves on its own. There is no requirement of the some after the natural ecosystem. An artificial ecosystem. So in the artificial ecosystem where it is made by the man. Example is the aquarium is also one example of artificial ecosystem where oxygen has to be pumped in the aquarium, right? Otherwise, fish cannot live, right? So there, that is also one example. And it has aquarium has to be cleaned. All these, it has to be made by man itself. Okay. Whereas in lake, it cleans on its own, right? River, lake, everything. So there, the oxygen will be dissolved into the water by the nature itself. So there is no requirement of the human intervention there. Okay. Garden is an example. Agriculture plot is an example. All these are the examples of artificial ecosystem. So, components of the ecosystem. One is the biotic components. So, what is biotic components? Living organisms are the biotic components. Abiotic components are abiotic. So, living components it can be divided into producers and the consumers. So, what are the producers? The one which prepares their own food. They are the producers. The producers, all the green plants are the producers. Whereas the consumers are the one which directly or indirectly depend on producers. So in the consumers, what we have herbivores, carnivores, and the omnivores. Herbivores are the one which depend directly on producers. That is, they eat only the plants. The carnivores are the one which eats only the animals, the flesh of the animals. So that indirectly they depend on the producers. So omnivores, which will feed on both the plants and so in the biotic components means what? The biotic components are the components which uh, the living organisms in the ecosystem, we call it as the biotic components. They are the producers and the consumers. So producers are the one which produce the food, that is, which prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. So all the green plants are the one which can produce their own food. Why the green plants? Because they have the chlorophyll, which is a green pigment which helps in trapping the sunlight or which absorbs the sunlight. Because of that, there is a chemical energy. There is a chemical reaction which produces the food. Okay, so they are the producers. All the green plants have the green pigment for chlorophyll. Because of that, there is photosynthesis which produces their own food. So they are called as the producers. Then comes the consumers. Consumers are the one which depend on the producers for their food. How we can bifurcate that by the food, how they what they feed on. One is the carnivorous, herbivorous, and the omnivorous. Herbivorous are the one which depend on only the plants, that they feed only on the producers. Then the carnivorous are the one which uh, depend on the flesh of the other animals. Okay, omnivorous are the one which they feed both on the plants and the animals. So omnivorous and the carnivorous also directly or indirectly they depend on the producers. And producers they can prepare their own food by solar energy. So the whole habitat in the earth depends on the solar energy. The whole habitat they depend on the solar energy. So clear now? So biotic components means they are the components. They are the living organisms within the ecosystem that produce the biotic components. Components are the one which are non-living, one which is in the ecosystem. So what are abiotic components? Water, non-living, water, water, air, soil, temperature. All these are considered as abiotic components. Write about this. In this chapter, it is easy to score. Write down about the biotic components. So these include all the living organisms present in the ecosystem. Present in the ecosystem. Example, plants, animals, and microorganisms. What is the They are also called as the autotrophs. They are also called as autotrophs. These absorb radiant. What is the radiant energy of the sun and produce food. Produce food by the process of photosynthesis. By the process of photosynthesis. So what is the example? All the green plants and the blue-green algae. Blue-green algae is the example. Other than the plants, which is the one, another one is the blue-green algae. What they say, they produce their own food. Next comes the consumer. Second type is the consumers. In the consumers, we have these are dependent on producers for their food. For their food. They are also called as heterotrophs. They are also called as heterotrophs. Heterotrophs. They are also called as the heterotrophs. So it can be in the consumers, it can be divided into first one is the herbivorous. They are also called as primary or the first order consumers. First order consumers. They feed on producers. They feed on producers. That is plants. So example, any examples you can give, like goat, horse, any examples you can. Cow. So clear now. First, what is ecosystem? It is the structural and the functional unit, which contains both the biotic and abiotic components. That is an ecosystem. In the ecosystem, we have two types. One is the natural ecosystem. Second one is the artificial ecosystem. Natural is the one which is there in the nature. And examples will be the lakes, oceans, deserts, forests, so many examples. So it is made by the nature and it is maintained by the nature itself. And there is no requirement of the human intervention. Next, we studied about the artificial ecosystem. In the artificial ecosystem, it is the one, it is made by the man and it has to be maintained by the man. Example is the one garden, let's say aquarium. Aquarium, if oxygen is not pumped, it is not cleaned. So the animals, the fishes cannot live, correct? So it has to be maintained by the agricultural field. So many examples we can give for that. Next comes the components of the ecosystem. One we have the biotic components. Second one is the abiotic components. Biotic components are the ones which is the living organisms. Abiotic components which is the non-living organisms. In the biotic, the first one is the producers. They are also producers autotrophs, which they can prepare their own food with the help of the sunlight by the process of photosynthesis. And chlorophyll is a pigment because that it can prepare photosynthesis. Because it can grab the sunlight or observe the sunlight, which can be used for the chemical energy, and hence it produces its own food. Examples are the plants. Other than plants, will be the blue-green algae. That is the one which can prepare the food. Then we have the consumers. In the consumers are the one which depends on the producers for their food. First one is the herbivorous. Herbivorous are the one which directly feed on the producers. That is, they feed on the plants. Any examples like nuts, goat, anything we can give. Then comes the carnivorous. Carnivorous are the one which feed on the meat or the flesh of another animals. That is, they depend on the first order consumers. Herbivorous are also called as first order consumers by first order consumers because uh, producers are eaten by the herbivores. So that is they are also called as the first order consumers. Okay, next comes the carnivorous, then the omnivorous. And after the consumers, the third one is the decomposers, right? So decomposers are the one which help in the decaying of the of any remaining plants or animals, right? So because of that, they feed on the death and decay of the animals. So and they also clean the system. They are the one which help in the transferring the nutrients into the nature back and also to clean the system. It will help. So most of the decomposers are the microorganisms. Correct now? So after producers, then comes the consumers, then comes the decomposers. Consumers are the one herbivorous, carnivorous, and omnivorous. Then we have the decomposers. Decomposers are the one which feed on the dead and decaying particles of the living plants or animals. And they are the one which actually cleans the system and helps the nutrients to be recycled. See, any animal is there, the remaining part is there. That has to be decayed. How it will be decayed? It is decayed by the microorganisms. When they feed on the, it will be converted into its nutrients, other forms of the nutrients, which the soil will absorb from the plants actually. So for the recycling, for the we need that. These voices are not decomposed. They are called as habitats. Yes. So decomposers which deviate from they are microorganisms are the in the system and it helps in the recycling of the okay. Then this one. This chapter actually it is easier. Just read once, it will be. Huh? Like many are wanted, no? This one. That's why I'm not extending. I'm doing fast only, no? This chapter. 2 or 3 days we can finish it. No. Right down. These are the animals that feed on other animals. So the carnivorous, which feed on herbivorous, are called, be quiet, are called second order consumers. Second order consumers. Why they are second order consumers? Because they feed on the herbivores. First, producers will be herbivores feed on the producers, and carnivores feed on the herbivores. So it comes in the next order. So it is the second order consumers, and some will be the third order consumers also in that. Okay, for example, rats feed on the small insects or some other thing. Rat will be eaten maybe by the eagle, right? Like that. It goes on. And some carnivores are predators. Predators, that means they hunt. Like example, like lion, fox. Any examples you can give? And next, it can be the another one is the scavengers in the carnivores. Scavengers feed on dead animals. They feed on the dead animals. Feed on dead animals. So these are third order. These are third order consumers. So scavengers, they are not decomposers. Scavengers, they feed on the dead animals, but decomposers are the one which decay them. Okay, so they help in cleaning the system as well as the recycling of the nutrients. Then comes the omnivorous. These are animals that feed both on plants and animals. Plants and animals. Okay. Example, bear. Any example you take. Next comes the decompose. These are the microorganisms which feed, which feed on decaying and dead organic matter. Dead organic matter. These break down. The remains of dead animals and plants. Dead animals and plants to release. This is important. So they break down the remains of dead animals and plants. Okay, this part is important. They break down the dead animals and plants to release various substances into the nature. Okay, into nature. Scavengers, they feed on the dead animals. Whereas decomposers, what they will do, the dead animals will be decomposed. They will convert that into the simpler organic matter. Like what? Different. Yeah, because of they secrete the enzymes. Because of that see, usually what we use organic matter, it is a complex organic matter what we feed on. Okay, so that dead particles will have the complex organic matter which will be decomposed into simpler organic matter. Okay, so that will be released. Mainly the various substances will be released into the ecosystem because of that. One of the example is nitrogen will be released into the soil because of the microorganisms. And another one is because of the lightning. Because even in the lightning, nitrogen is the main food for the plants. When the leaves will be shed in no, Nitrogen is the main. That's why when they are putting the fertilizers and all, you would have heard about urea, all these. Because urea, what does it contain? It contains the nitrogen, NH3, and it contains another one, like that. Okay, so that will be fixed into the nature, or it will be soil. We can observe that contents, nitrogen content. Okay, because of this decomposes, then that can be directly absorbed by the soils. That's how it, the leaves, shed leaves can become the manure for the plants. So that is the difference. The scavengers means what, they just feed on that. But they decay here, that means they break down the complex particles into simpler particles, which is in the soil or in the air, which will be observed by the plants. Okay. So decomposers are the microorganisms. Scavengers are not decomposers. Okay. These various substances. Substances that can be used by other members of the ecosystem. Isha, used by other members of the ecosystem. Okay. Example, bacteria, fungi. They help. They help in cleaning the system. Next, we have the abiotic compounds. Tomorrow we will do maybe 2 other classes. We can finish that on the portion. Okay. I will give the one.
Here we will end the today's class. Do not forget to subscribe the channel. If the content of this channel is useful, please like the video and share with your friends. Thank you.